Alright, for the first 21 years of my life, I was forced to do Taekwondo. As a former athlete, this is what I learned, and this is my quarantine day in the life. I usually wake up at around 5:30 to 5:45 a.m., depending on how many times I hit the snooze button. Apparently, I'm not as hardworking as my dad because I don't wake up at 4 a.m., but I still learned that being in a competitive sport, I need to wake up earlier than most people. Then I do some morning journaling, which consists of pen and paper and writing down whatever's on the top of my head, starting with what I'm grateful for. There's absolutely zero filter, and with someone who has a mess of thoughts jumping around, I found this to be an effective way to freeze all of those thoughts on paper so it stops ricocheting in my head throughout the day. The goal of this is to not write 3 pages, but to write simply 1 page. 3 pages is just the most I would write, because I feel like after that there's a diminishing return. So if I write 1.5 pages and I don't feel like writing anymore, I'd stop. If you're also someone with a mind that never really shuts off, so it's hard to fall asleep or make meaningful conversations with people because your thoughts are jumping all over the place, then I highly recommend this strategy for you to try out as well. Okay, let's move on. The next thing I do in my morning is reading. I didn't learn this from martial arts, and I hated reading when I was younger. If it didn't have pictures, I threw it out. But later I found self-improvement books and I got instantly hooked. So honestly, I just feel like most people haven't found the right genre for themselves. So in my morning reading, I either read a self-improvement book like this, or a biography book like this, to really prime myself for the rest of the day. Or I read something challenging like this because I just have more willpower to really focus and digest in the morning. Like martial arts, how we have different belt systems to show our expertise, I feel like we have different expertise with our mind and we need to constantly train that as well. So I honestly think reading children's books or comic books is a great way to start, and then you slowly build up in difficulty. My goal is to eventually get up to those ancient philosophical and religious texts and be able to decipher them in one swoop. Anyway, I started journaling first and then reading because I feel like in this digital age of constant content, it's important to create and then consume, having a good balance between the two. The goal at reading as well is not to really finish the book, but to read just 1 page. And most of the time, I don't read just 1 page because I developed the habit of enjoying reading. So I'll read depending on how much time I have, which is around 30 minutes to an hour. But imagine reading 10 pages a day. You just read 3,650 pages a year, which is around 18 books. Like, how much knowledge can you get from 18 books? That's a lot of knowledge for about 30 minutes of your time every day. And after reading, I like to think about what I just read, so I do something mindless after. And for me, it's mindless because I've been doing it my whole life, and that is exercise. Okay, the next thing I do is a morning run. I hated running during martial arts, but I know the benefits that has for me. So even though I don't like running in my neighborhood, I know because of this pandemic I haven't moving much, so I force myself to run every morning when my willpower is at its highest. Same thing for this one, the goal is to not run like 10 miles, but to simply run around the block. If I want to run more or sprint, I'll do that. But I keep my expectations so low that it's so easy for me to do, and having that goal of just running around the block, once I do just that, it's a win. Everything else is icing on the cake. And then after that, I do my normal workout because I'm already warmed up. As you can see, there's a bit of a reoccurring theme with my routine, and that's me focusing on those small wins. And I think those small wins are so important for me to actually build the right habits. And habits take time. I stopped doing Taekwondo and left my parents to create my own story. Even though I hated Taekwondo because I was forced to do it, I did learn a valuable skill from it. And that is discipline. In my adolescent and teenage years, I was teased a lot for being fat while having a black belt. It kind of didn't make sense to most people. It was like seeing an overweight PE teacher or an overweight personal trainer. It just didn't match. So one day I got fed up with all the teasing and I decided to do 100 sit-ups every night for a couple of months. Eventually I woke up one morning and while I was taking off my shirt to take a shower, I was like, whoa, I got abs. That was the first sign to me that doing something consistently and turning that into a good habit has its rewards. Then I eventually learned to translate that to other goals. And in order to be good at anything, I just have to be persistent and play the long game. So I know I might not be anybody now, but I know I will be someone who makes a difference in 10 or maybe even 20 years from now. It doesn't matter how long it'll take because I'll get there eventually. And for the 45-year-old David watching right now, and if you still don't have your shit together, remember, Colonel Sanders created KFC at age 62. You can't stop. In terms of fitness goal, I wish to someday be as strong as a person named Sai Monster. I'm pretty sure that's not his real name and that's his IG handle, but after seeing what he can do and seeing what the human body is capable of, I'm inspired.
Oh my god.
After I work out, I take a cold shower. It's supposed to strengthen your immune system and it has me feeling really refreshed after a workout, especially during the summer. But when I take it in the winter times, that's when it really tests me. And I try to do one thing every day that makes me feel uncomfortable, which usually comes from the cold showers. Do I like pain? Hell no. But I do like the stoic idea that we need to voluntarily put ourselves in uncomfortable positions. That way we become immune to it when we face these uncomfortable situations in the future. Because let's face it, life is hard. And the only way we get through it is to go through some tough shit. As you continue watching this video, if you think I'm some sort of productivity nerd, you're right. I spent the first 21 years of my life with my head buried in the family martial arts business, so I feel like I'm making up for lost time. Time that probably would have been spent trying new things during the weekends, or building a social life outside of school. And I'm not saying the only thing I want to do is party now. Or maybe I do. No, I'm kidding, but I do feel like I missed out on life specializing in this one thing. And I'm not saying specializing is bad. If you're like Tiger Woods and you know what you like doing, then cool. I'm just someone with more interests, I guess. In this book, the author David Epstein says there's the focused frog and the visionary bird. The frogs delight in the specific details and the birds see far and wide. So we need to see both broad and deep, instead of telling everyone to specialize in just one thing. And the world needs both frogs and birds in order to thrive. I think I'm learning that I'm more of the bird instead of the frog. I used to beat myself up a lot and blame my parents for making me specialize in this one thing, but I learned that this can actually be an advantage. Also, I'm still in my 20s and I got a long road ahead. But also, I'm trying to not waste my time by having a very compact morning routine. There's a quote I find so powerful and it captures beautifully how I view productivity right now. And it's, "I judge you unfortunate because you have never lived through misfortune. You have passed through life without an opponent. No one can ever know what you are capable of, not even you." And I think that's another thing I learned as a martial artist. The drive to continuously better myself. So yeah, that's my morning routine. I don't do all of this every time, but if I can complete 80% of it 80% of the time, that's a win. Okay, at about 11 a.m. that's usually the time when I get food. Which is right now. As I'm eating, this is finally the time I check my phone, emails, and social media. But I also set an hour time block for myself so I don't end up losing time browsing through content. And I try not to check them earlier because the mornings are so precious. It's when most of the world is still sleeping, so I want to use that time to really think deeply who I am and what I want in life. And for me, I think it's especially important because I never really had this time to reflect when I was younger. I also feel like we gotta win those mornings, that way we can build that momentum and then win the rest of the day. Small wins, compounding. Do you know the tortoise and the hare? Because I am the tortoise. I also don't check my phone earlier because no one messages me anyway. By the way, the only reason I have this much time to myself is because 1, we're in quarantine, and 2, I recently quit my corporate job, so I'm using this time to really focus on myself and try to learn as much skills as I can. Like learning how to make this video. So after I eat and get back into the work mode, most of my time goes to learning how to script a video, film a video, and edit a video. Making a good video is tough, but the rest of the day includes multiple breaks like napping, meditating, watching other video creators for inspiration.
I just wish that I could have had you over again. Everyone.
No! Or maybe doing some more reading. I'll also take an hour-long break in the middle of my workflow to work on a skill that I personally want to learn. Right now that's Japanese. So for an hour I'll recharge myself from the usual workflow by going over vocabulary words, or watching videos on Japanese grammar or pronunciation, or sometimes I'll just use that hour to have an online tutoring session. Ohayo.
元気ですか?
元気です。ちょっと難しいけどめっちゃ楽しいです。I don't even know if I said that right. And of course, I learned some dumb phrases along the way. 一緒にホテルに行きましょうか? So yeah, it's learning, reading, reflecting, personal development stuff, and I do that for the rest of the day. Until my brain can't function anymore, and that's usually around 6 p.m. That's when it's time for dinner, which consists of a protein source and veggies, talking with a friend over the phone or through Skype, or mindlessly browsing through social media because I feel like I finally deserve it. It just feels less guilty doing something you like after you put in some work. If I feel like I wasn't productive enough in the day because I was, let's say, distracted with talking with people on the phone or something, I'll use my evening time to read some more, which usually consists of a fiction book. That way I don't need to think so hard. Lastly, I have an evening routine before I sleep where I jot down what I've learned, what's been energizing me, what's something interesting that happened that day, etc. Like a diary where I do my daily reflections. And I have so much time to write because I'm not going anywhere. And finally, I plan on what I want to do the next day, trying to find that one thing that I look forward to, so that way I can wake up early in the morning again. And then, it's lights off. Thank you for watching this video. If you made it this far, I truly appreciate it and it means a lot to me. My intention was to simply share my story. Some kid who left his hometown searching for a better life, facing through uncertainty, and doing the most he can during this pandemic. Also, I'm new to video content and I hope to turn on some more videos. So if you like what you see, please smash that like button and subscribe to see more. Peace.